Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Staltari, and I am a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the last several years, I've been focusing my attention on les filles du roi, les filles mariées, and the filles mariées. Today's episode is on the king's daughters, les filles du roi, the women who came between 1663 and 1673 and really helped found the Quebec and the North America that we know today, and they are the founding mothers. And there were over 700 of them, some estimates as high as 800. I'm on episode 312, and I've done 311 prior. I'm halfway there. That's what I feel like. And we're going to examine each and every one of them because each and every one of them have left descendants. Even those that haven't left descendants, I've often had this question, will you be doing them? Yes, I will be doing them as well, but at the end, because they perhaps relate back to a French family and that sort of thing, so they're not as directly linked to us, but we want to acknowledge them as well. So before I begin, let me show you ways you can support the channel. The first three keep you in the know. Subscribe, like, and notify. Subscribe, if you haven't already, please do so. Like is for each episode that you watch. If you like it, then that gets that more out into the algorithms and all that good stuff. I've actually seen it happening where people all of a sudden are finding me. So that's part of that liking. And then notify, it's just for you so that you can get notified every time I post new videos. Now, if you want to help the channel grow, there's a couple of ways. One of the big ways is through the membership program I have with YouTube. We start at 99 cents and we go all the way to $24.99. Those are, done by me. And all of them have different perks and different prizes or different, gifts, if you will. But they all give you access to all the videos that I post ahead of time. So you are kind of brought to the head of the line and don't have to wait in line. And that's something that a lot of people like to do. So if you want to do that, please consider becoming a member. Now, another way is through my PayPal on my website. A lot of people over the years have done that as well if they want to contribute. And then as well, there's Super Thanks. And Super Thanks is a wonderful little thing that you can see it with a thumbs up. And I think it says Super Thanks. And then you put in however much you want to tip. I guess that's the way I look at it, So if you particularly like a video and want to tip, that's a great thing as well. So I thank you all for your support. And now let's get started with the episode of Les Filles du Roi. Now we come to Les Filles du Roi, episode 312, Françoise Paris. Now, she is a viewer request, and when I looked in my files, she is also the great-grandmother of the wife of my boy next door that I grew up with, that I mention a lot of times on this series without mentioning their names. And this is her great-grandmother as well. So let's get to know Françoise a little bit better. Françoise was born in 1653 in Sens, France. Her parents were Aimé Paris and Serette Baron. Sens is found in the Bourgogne-Franche-Comté region of France, about 120 kilometers southeast of Paris. And you can see that it is part of the Yonne département as well in the top part. It was an important city during the Roman period and became even more important during the Gaul periods. By the Middle Ages, Sens had grown into a major religious center, rivaling Paris in its religious influence for a time. The archbishops of Sens were highly influential, and the city was actually a key stop on the pilgrimage route to Santiago de Compostela. Now, Saint-Pierre-le-Rond, which is the church that I feature here, is one of the lesser known but historically rich parish church that actually Françoise was baptized in. Now, Sens is famous for its grand cathedral. I show it to you there, Saint-Étienne. But during the 17th century, it was also home to several smaller parish churches that served the everyday citizens. Saint-Pierre-le-Rond was one of them. The name Le Rond may refer to the rounded shape of the original structure, possibly the dome, which was not unusual In the 1600s, churches like Saint-Pierre-Laurent were much more than places of worship. They were centers of community life. So today, while it may no longer function as an active parish, Saint-Pierre-Laurent stands as a reminder of that humble, very country, very to the earth kind of people that would have emigrated to New France. And our Françoise was one of them. After her father passed away, she came to New France as a fille du roi. She brought with her 200 pounds. And look at the date at that she came in, September 3rd, 1673, L'Espérance. She literally caught the last ship. Amazing, amazing. There was no other ship after that period. The Fille du Roi program ended. But she was on that ship. Her golden ticket, metaphorically speaking, was with her. So the groom that she would select, and who would select her, Pierre Petitclerc dit Leclerc, and he was born in 1638. His parents were Jean Petitclerc and Marie Poisy. Now he is born in Pleumartin, which is located in the Vienne department of the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region. Now this very charming commune might seem very quiet today, but its roots really stretch deep into the medieval past. Pleumartin first developed around a 12th century parish, and its strategic position meant that it evolved significantly in the centuries that followed. In the 14th century, King Charles VI granted the land to his chamberlain, Isari, and his descendants played a major role in shaping the town's early identity. By the time of the French Revolution, Pleumartin had established a strong civic spirit, going so far as to plant a tree of liberty, a powerful symbol of the times. One of the unique features of Pleumartin's history is its wartime role during World War II. Between 1940 and 1943, the demarcation line between the occupied and free France ran straight through the village. Imagine that. Part of the town under German control, the other in the so-called free zone. It's a sobering reminder of how even the smallest communities were touched by this global conflict. At the heart of the village is the Halle de Pleumartin, a 17th century covered marketplace that you can see to the right that still stands today. It's a beautiful reminder of the town's role in local commerce and community life. Nearby, you'll find the Église de la Trinité, which dates back to the 12th century. And then we have the Château de Pleumartin, a 19th century castle built atop an even older medieval foundation. So you can just imagine, just honestly, the history of this place and how it has stood the test of time. And it's got about 1,200 people here. It is also a short drive from a town called La Roche, which is a famous spa town, and Chauvigny, which is home to 5 medieval castles. So this area is ripe for historical travel. Now, Pierre was a tailor, and there is some evidence that he arrived in New France in 1657, and he may have married prior to his marriage to a woman named Anne. Again, no record exists. On the 11th of September, 1673, remember, she just arrived. This is incredible. She arrived September 3rd, and she is getting married on the 11th. I'm like, wow. That's amazing. So they were married at Quebec City, and let's see where they ended up. They would first settle at Sillery, which is one of the boroughs of Quebec City, but for well over 3 centuries, it was its own independent city, and by 2002, it was amalgamated along with many other smaller communities into the larger region of Quebec City. Sillery was first established as Canada's first Indian reserve. It was named Saint Joseph, and the money for establishing the first settlement was provided by none other than Noël Brulard de Sillery. Unfortunately, the native population fell victim to disease and other issues, and the reserve failed. The town was eventually named Sillery in honor of its benefactor and would become an important player in Quebec's lumber industry. And I just love that picture of Sillery's waterfront right here. Just an amazing sight on the left of your screen. And then to the bottom right, you see the church that you can see a little bit in the distance. Then I wanted to show you where exactly Sillery would have been. It's actually part of a Sainte-Foy-Sillery Cap Rouge. And then in the upper right of your screen, you have the very famous Maison des Jésuites de Sillery, or the Jesuits' House of Sillery. A fort was created here in the mid-1600s and would have been present probably during Françoise's time. This actual house was the one built after the fort burned down twice, and dates from 1703 to 1730 for construction. Pretty old, I tell you. As you can see, Sillery and Sainte-Foy are very close to one another, and there is some evidence that they would eventually move to Sainte-Foy. Sainte-Foy's name comes from the French word for holy faith, named after Saint Faith, a young Christian martyr. The area was settled in the 17th century during the early expansion of New France. Like so many colonial communities, life here revolved around the church, the parish, and farming. By 1669, the parish of Sainte-Foy was officially established. And now it was, for most of its, tenure, it was a simple farming community. It did play a very important role in the Battle of Sainte-Foy, which was the final showdown of the 7 Years' War. The French army, led by General Lévis, defeated the British outside of Quebec City. It was actually a very rare French victory. But unfortunately for them, it wasn't enough to change the outcome of the war. The British kept control of Quebec and soon all of New France. What is really cool about Sainte-Foy is how it has evolved, even in my own lifetime. As Laval University grew and became a very prominent place, Sainte-Foy also took grew up, and it wasn't just a farming community anymore. It has schools and shopping centers and, absolutely a wonderful place to visit. Tourism is a big deal in Sainte-Foy. So even though it is a borough of Quebec City now, it really is its own unique flavor, if you will, of New France. So I would definitely encourage a visit there as well. They would go on to have 11 children. Hilaire, we know, passed away probably after 1697. Marie-Madeleine, no other information. Jean, no other information. Marianne would marry François Poitras and have 2 children, both of whom made it to adulthood. Jean-Baptiste married Marie-Françoise Prévost and would have 5 children, all of whom made it. Louise would marry Jacques Morin and have 6 children, all of whom made it. Jeanne would marry Gabriel Houd and have 8 children, 7 of whom made it. Geneviève would marry Gabriel Rouleau and have 3 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Then we have François, who married Marie-Françoise Viau and would marry and had 11 children, 5 of whom made it. And then he married Jeanne Guéret and had 8 more children, 5 of whom made it. Then we have Charles, who married Marie-Catherine Prévost and had 5 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. And finally, Marie-Catherine, who died at age 7. You'll note here that I don't have a 1681 census. Normally, I always do. It is, as far as we can tell, they were missed. If anyone has further information, please let me know in the comments, okay? Because I really did a deep dive on this and I couldn't find it. Pierre would pass away in 1711 at 73 years of age. They had been married almost 38 years. And this here is a tribute from his birthplace. So this was put up by the Leclerc family. So, and it says, D'ici parti, Pierre Petitclerc. From here was left, Pierre Petitclerc left. He was a pioneer of the family in New France. He was the son of Jean Petitclerc and Marie Poisy de Mézeray, and they were married the 22nd of June, 1637. He was baptized in 1638, and he has died in Sainte-Foy on the 31st of May, 1711. Absolutely beautiful. And let's have a look at another tribute to him. This is the Association of Famille Leclerc. If this is your ancestry, you need to check this out because you could find connections that you just haven't found before. So they really specialize. When you are joining an association based on the name, you're going to get a lot of thorough, very deep research. So check it out if this is what you're doing. 3 years later, she would find a new love. His name was Pierre-Élie, and he was born in 1668 in Lonzac, France. His parents were Jean-Élie and Marie Poche. Now, nestled in the heart of Corrèze département, Le Lonzac is part of the former province of Limousin, a region known for its rolling hills, its woodlands, and very rural. Back in the 1600s, this area was a typical agricultural village. And the village church, Église Notre-Dame, has stood for centuries, and it was built probably in the 12th or 13th century. And this is where Pierre would have been probably baptized. And here on the bottom left, you see a depiction of the commune. It is a very, very quiet one, very rural, and definitely in history, So very, very much a place like so many places in France, but definitely. Now, Pierre would have been quite a bit younger than Françoise, about 16 years, 17 years, her junior. Nothing major, but absolutely, well, in our lifetime, and but interesting for that time. So Pierre had arrived as a soldier, not with the Carignan-Salieres, but with the later battalions that would have come to New France. Let's have a look at his history. And the reason I bring this up is because obviously there are descendants. So I wanted to make sure not to forget. So we have his first wife, Marie-Jean, with 6 children, Marianne Philippe, 2 children, Marguerite Madeleine Fizet, with 1 child. So just to make sure, because I'm not going to study these. Françoise Paris, they did not have any children, and his later wife, Marianne Olivier, no children either. But he never gave up on love, that's for sure. So Françoise would marry on the 12th of February, 1714, her second husband, Pierre-Élie. And I suspect it was for love and not for financial. I think she was well taken care of. So let's have a look at her life afterwards. Françoise would go on to live until 1728, passing away at the age of 77. Obviously, she and Pierre would have had 14 good years. So that is a lovely testament, and a woman who just endured and was able to benefit from her strength and her character to make a new life and create. I'm certain that she played a role as well, probably in his children's life as well. So I can see her totally a matriarch, So that is Françoise Paris, her life. And so ends our story of Françoise. What a brave woman she was. And to live that long, I say time and again, those are women who are given the gift of longevity are especially special in our stories because they obviously have seen their children, their grandchildren, possibly their great-grandchildren. They've endured loss. They have truly seen the gamut of life itself. And they are really a tribute to the strength of these incredible founding mothers. So we thank you, Françoise, for constantly being there and for participating in the tapestry that would become New France, and ultimately would, your descendants are probably far and away from Quebec at this time. So we thank you, Françoise, for your gifts and for your endurance and your courage and for making that brave leap of faith to come to New France. We are thankful. And I am thankful for my patrons and supporters. You help me every single day helped me keep going and really believe in the mission. And I can tell you right now, if I didn't receive the support, in terms of the encouragement and that sort of thing from you all over the years, I probably would have given up. But I absolutely can see that this means something to you. So I appreciate you all. That being said, I will see you on the next episode of Les Filles du Roi. Until then, au revoir.